Hi, friends. Welcome to the April Sot Song. Today, we're going to do something different, something new. We have so many new people. Katumi told me you guys were coming, and I was like, yeah, Katumi, I don't really think so. And it doesn't really matter because I don't have like this attachment, this desire. I'm not in the cause and effect kind of linearity where I create and then there has to be a certain number of people who watch it. I create because it's how I breathe. It's how I namaste on earth. And there's this concept in the East called karma yoga. It's not what you think it is. It's not like doing good deeds so I can go to heaven. No, that would be a Western idea. Karma yoga is creating, doing, being, doing through being without being attached to the outcome. Um, so Katumi told me you guys were coming and I didn't believe him. And now here you are. And I said, if more people are coming here, please, I know I shouldn't be attached, but I said, please let them be loving and joyful and fun and humble and, you know, down to earth and human. Let them be human. Let them be human. Let them not be trying to conquer anything through realization or consciousness. And then you let it go. You create something and then you let it go. Um, so here you are. And so I want to introduce myself. My name is Lauren Hutton. I am a 43-year-old human. I live in a very, very small town, an island in Texas. And I've lived other places. After college, I lived in Washington, D.C., and I worked at the Capitol. And then I lived in South Carolina and I worked as a newspaper reporter, which is how I learned how to write. I have a degree in multimedia journalism. And I had really great professors who worked with me to make sure I could write well, speak well, research well, and not accept anything without asking myself if it's true. So I learned a lot in journalism school. When I was living in Austin, Texas, after my dad died and I got a divorce, I worked with a being named Ascended. Most people know him as an Ascended Master. He doesn't like the word master. He says it's far too limiting, but an Ascended Master, El Moria. And I worked really closely with him and he trained me and reminded me of who I was. And he suggested that I move to Colorado. And I didn't know Crimson Circle was in Colorado when he suggested it. And then through a strange turn of events, I had a friend in Spain who I was visiting, and he put on a Crimson Circle shout. It was January 2015. I have a tendency to get dates mixed up now. So if I got it wrong, forgive me. But it was February or January 2015. And the shout's theme was, "You've hit the glass ceiling on God." And I was floored. And then I realized they were in Colorado, which is where Moria had said we needed to move. So it was interesting. And that shout, that monthly meeting of the Crimson Circle, the way the channeled character Adamus talked about God was how I was experiencing God within myself. So I already had the experience and then it matched my experience and I was just blown away. So Moria kept pushing me. I kept dragging my human feet, which I've learned not to do now. And then I lived in Colorado for 2 years and I did all of the Crimson Circle materials. I opened up the hood of the car and looked under the hood to see how it all worked behind the scenes, not on television. Um, and I learned so much. I learned so much. And then my realization hit me like a lightning bolt. I wasn't expecting it because there was kind of this general consensus that realization was hard. It was only available to you in your old age after you worked really hard at it and spent a lot of money on materials about it. And, there's a lot of patting me on the head. Yeah, whatever, you're new here. My whole life, I've had high profile jobs in politics, working as a reporter. I look young now, but I'm 43 and this is all natural. I do not wear makeup and I don't put anything in my face anymore, any chemicals or anti-aging stuff. I'm done. And so if you think I look young now, think about what I looked like at 21. My first job was in the United States Capitol. Think about how little people took me seriously there. It was the same thing when I got to Colorado. A lot of, okay, Lauren, right? This was supposed to be something that was really, really hard and only available to a few people. And I just knew that wasn't true. I didn't think that realization needed to be hard. And I really thought it's not limited to, he kept, at that time, Adamus kept saying there's only 5 people. It's like, or 4 people or 3. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's a lot more. But there was this general consensus that you weren't allowed to hit there until you were old, broken, broke, and at the end, and then you just left your physical form and off you went. So imagine my surprise when that's not what happened. Um, I kept in 2017, I kept my realization to myself, and I tried to continue to go on with the Crimson Circle. And now people can talk about realization there, but at the time it was banned, and punishable by an online whipping, and you're so fragile. I wrote about this recently in one of our articles on our Patreon page about the fragility of the newly realized being. You're in such a fragile state. And Katumi said it used to be really revered if someone in a community had their enlightenment experience, which is what Katumi calls it. You're so sensitive and you have no defense mechanism because you cannot animate a personality, because you've cleared your karma. All personality, human personality, is created by karma, cause and effect, memory based, that shapes your personality. Your human personality is shaped by the experiences you've had in this lifetime and others. To go a little bit deeper without going too deep, you don't gain consciousness upon death, right? You die and you may clear out some of your astral karma in the astral realms, and then you reincarnate exactly back where you were when you died. So the moment of consciousness at your death, when you return to the material world called Earth, little r, Earth reality, you start off exactly where you were. I wasn't born with a whole lot of karma in this life. I pulled some in when I was born into the bloodline that I was born into. And then I pulled some in when I was in Crimson Circle. I started to have all my Atlantean memories come back. And I realized I was there because of the fall of Atlantis and my role in it. So I continued to stay with Moria, and then, I tried to stay there. Because I just felt really committed to it. I feel like I owed something. I feel like I needed to be there. And then became very clear that me being there was not helpful. And I just go where I've always gone, where I'm needed. Right now where I'm needed is here and creating my art. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today as Lauren Hutton, not as Sarah and Katumi and the other stuff that I bring you guys, Mary Magdalene, Yeshua, Babaji, Yogananda. I just wanted to show you, this is the human self. I shop at Walmart. I do not wear makeup. I drive a very, very old, rusted Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. I have a little Volkswagen Beetle that I bought after I left Colorado because I needed some cheer in my life when I left there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to drive out of here in style. So I have my little bug. Um, this is me. I dress like a boy and I look like a camp counselor. And that's how I feel comfortable, is being a tomboy. And I know those things aren't important, but I just never wanted there to be a wizard behind the curtain here. Our business is not set up as an LLC or a corporation. I file my taxes as an individual. We have contract employees that we work with. Aaliyah makes our videos. Jess has been with us for years. She helps develop the materials. She does the scheduling. If you book a one-on-one session, she transcribes, she helps write the books. Katumi found her. Katumi found Aaliyah. And there's Jen of NYC who helps us with really special projects. She has her own project called Culmination Genesis. I'm going to put the link in the newsletter. Be sure you sign up for our newsletter. The link below is in our newsletter. We do bonus content there. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. We have over 1,000 people who watch here, unique people, and we have, I think it's up to 558 people who subscribe, so only about half subscribe. And YouTube has all these really funky things that you have to have a certain number of subscribers to access greater amounts of tools. So if you could hit subscribe down here or at the end of the video, there's a little link. I really appreciate it. No pressure. We're not trying to become anything big. I'm never going to build an organization. Going back to the people we work with, Sarah Manning does the book editing. She did the last 2 Katumi books. Guillaume has done the book formatting. He has his own project called Yogananda. It's an email subscription service, and it's beautiful, and I love it. Way to go, Guillaume. And then most importantly, in 2017, Moria showed me this banyan tree, and we're going to make a video about it. So if you haven't heard about it, the banyan tree exists beyond relative reality and absolute reality, and it is where sovereign beings gather. And these sovereign beings act as an ad hoc consciousness to create more materials that are less group focused and karmic family ancestral tie focus. It's completely autonomous beings coming together to put materials together that are about the Christ consciousness and the new energy. So all of our materials are based off these really creative, we call them conversations that create, creative conversations that we have online. So I do not consider myself a channeler. I consider myself an artist. I write and I create my art through the spoken word, through videos with Aaliyah, and by compiling all the beautiful shares from the conversations that create calls that's happened over years. I take all of those conversations and I put them into the art. All the graphics you see, I do myself. I always pay for artwork. We pay for the music and the videos. We do not steal things off the internet. I hold myself to a very, very high standard. We respect all copyright. Every image you see, I have purchased and paid for. And every song you might hear in a video, every animation, Aaliyah and I have licensed that properly. And, you know, I'm an artist and I follow where it goes, where the Dharma goes. And I personally, I've tried to quit many times because it's not easy. And every time I've tried to quit, I've come back, which has been good because, you know, talent only goes so far. I consider myself a pretty decent writer, nothing special. I consider myself a very good public speaker, but I'm not the best. I'm definitely not the best channeler. It's real shaky if I have to channel Katumi. I don't enjoy it. Mainly he talks to me, I embody it, and then I create art around it. So if you're wondering who's Sarah and who's Katumi, Sarah was a leader in Atlantis. And she had multiple lifetimes in Atlantis, but she was very, very, very involved. She had an incarnation as the daughter of Yeshua and has a deep connection to Mary Magdalene. I'm not saying she was a biological daughter. I remember all my lifetimes, which we call energetic imprints here. And I pull from them. So Sarah is what I would call my I am consciousness. She's not my soul. She's my I am consciousness. And Lauren is an incarnation of Sarah. And through this light body experience, Sarah's here on Earth, and Lauren's kind of gone to the wayside. You don't lose your human, but I wanted to come here today with my tiny little facet that is Lauren. We talk a lot about moving beyond the last lifetime designated ascendee trap, right? Because it's very, very limiting. If you're just a human being, experience your realization in the last lifetime, and then you're done, there's not a lot of P's, potentials, possibilities, probabilities, and passageways to explore after that. And what Kachumi and I say is like, oh, don't stop there. Stop going for a spiritual goal, but let's create art in the infinite, right? Tobias said art will save the world. And then it went right on into physics and this and that and the wave function and that. And we do teach all about that kind of stuff. However, the most important thing here is the art, and the art comes in the shares on the conversations that create call. Each person comes on the call and shares in such a beautiful way. We don't do posturing. One of the things I did notice as human being, Lauren, is that when people come into this space and they get irritated, it's because they're doing one thing. They're coming to see if there's more to learn, if they've graduated, or if they're above all of this, right? So it's very much a addiction to position, like trying to position themselves. Where am I in this stage, right? And the people who, and this space blows fire in their face. This is how the art works, all right? People who come and say, oh, I want to explore the infinite mystery of the I am that I am. I want to have passion return to my life. I want to experience new energy, Christ consciousness, kind of love, which we've been championing, promoting, saying, hey, you got to look at this, forget realization. Here's this new energy, Christ consciousness love. It's so good, right? We've been talking about that for years here. And then the people we work with actually experience it. So then we can talk about it more based off their experiences. So I'm pulling from all those conversations. I take a lot of notes. I'm a very, very good listener. And we're exploring the infinitude, no finish line because it's infinite, the infinitude of this new energy, this Christ consciousness. I tell people I'm forever a student of the Christ consciousness. And so if you're looking to explore and expand and play, rest and play, then this space will be so supportive for that. But if it's like, I need to see where I'm at in my realization, and oh, she doesn't know more than me, or she knows way more than me, and that's horrible for me. And the space can't take it. I know that it comes from a program in Atlantis where things were very based on, hierarchy, who's more conscious or less conscious. It plays itself out in the ancestral creation, the karmic creation that is, I'm just going to say it, that is the Crimson Circle organization. Beautiful organization, beautiful materials, karmic and ancestral. Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's how I ended up there, karma and ancestry. And by clearing that up, I was able to leap there and somewhat in honor and compassion, because if you leave a place and you're like, F this and F that and whatever, you're just creating more karma. And I realized I had to stay there until I could leave at peace, or I would just be creating more karma for myself. Here's another lifetime with the same people who drowned in Atlantis, who denied Jesus exists. And now we're back and we're saying, I don't know if realization's real, or is this whole thing made up? It's just, it happens lifetime after lifetime. And it's like, I don't need to do that anymore. We could create art in linear year 2024. The greatest artwork we're creating is one, creating this biology, altering this carbon form through consciousness, creating a body of light to be here on Earth because it's fun and it feels good, but for the purpose of bringing the Christ consciousness to earth, first and foremost, and then it will spread throughout all of creation. If you think that that's dumb or you shouldn't have to, and there's no other reason than doing it than to achieve something, it's just not the right space. You can go somewhere else, right? But if you have a deep, deep desire to be in service and bring the Christ consciousness to earth and create art with us, this is a really great space. Yeah, so my name is Lauren Hutton. I am a regular human being. I've experienced a lot of trauma that I have healed over the last 4 years working with Katumi. So I went on a trip in 2020 with Moria, who I did not channel, do not have a contract with. We incarnated together over 1,000 lifetimes. We had a lot of karma to clear. We're also best friends and have been lovers and all the roles. So this sounds crazy, but it's what I got. In 2020, I went on a trip with him through India, and I visited all the places we used to live together, by myself, but with him. Don't tell anybody. It's kind of weird. And I'm gonna take a drink of water. He told me that he was going to incarnate into linear year 2052 into the technological metaverse. Now, in 2052, they have this thing called total digital representation, where you upload your entire being into the virtual reality, and you don't leave any biology. So he went there, he did that. He totally forgot who he was, just like all of us, and he went through his realization. And as he was making his way out, he appeared to me in a hotel room in his avatar form. He was wearing a green t-shirt, blue jeans, and he said the best sneakers you could buy in the virtual world. Because you got to buy your sneakers. You need money in this virtual world. And he's fully funded there. So there you go. He's got the nice sneakers. And then Katumi showed up, and that's been a wild ride. So Katumi interacts with Sarah. His I am, which is called Akira. His I am consciousness interacts with mine. And then the way his human in his last lifetime, as he was walking around Earth as a name he gave himself, Katumi, he talks to me while he's on his walk. So it's the late 1800s. He's had his realization. He left the hospital. He starts walking the world. And he's mainly back in India at this point, Tibet. He does go down south and then back up. As he's walking, he's talking to me. And I'm walking because I walk a lot in this life. So Lauren's walking, Katumi's walking after realization, and we're talking to each other. And then our I am consciousness talk. So if you watch the last thought song, I am channeling Sarah and Akira, the I am consciousness of myself, Lauren, and Katumi, and we put it together to create art. So I acted out an act of consciousness, right? So the books there's the Katumi character and the Sarah character. We needed to create a story in our art to bring this message that is your message. We don't feel like we own it. We don't feel like we own anything. We copyright the art, the format, but we don't own the information. We're not copyrighting the information. It's nuts because it comes from really amazing beings who shall not be named, and you, the beings right here on earth. So that's kind of how the art is created. I don't have my stack of books. I'm going to grab it real quick. I'm kind of always just a little bit disorganized, mad scientist. If you saw my house, there's books and paperwork everywhere. So I had someone yell at me once for getting up and getting my stuff. She said, I can't believe you wasted my time. I said, yeah, on a free video that you didn't have to watch. You got to laugh at people. And more importantly, you got to laugh at yourself. That is one thing that I have down. I make mistakes all the time. I figure out my mistakes pretty quick, usually simultaneously while I'm making them. I'm making the mistake and I realize I'm making it. And then I have a good laugh and I do better next time. Right? So you don't get bogged down. What I was trying to say before is talent's a lot of it. It seems like a lot of it, but I'm not that talented. I'm consistent and I don't get tripped up when things don't work out right. I don't get tripped up. It's like, oh, that didn't work well. Oh, I learned just as much from things that don't work as I learned from things that do. Probably learn more from my mistakes than I do my successes. And I see a lot of people like, uh, oh, Kelly, there's a woman who came onto Instagram and she created this Instagram page called at I'm going to make sure I get it right. Let's make sure we get it right. It's called The New School for Inspired Work, right? And so there's a lot. Okay, bear with me, Kelly. So there's a lot of people who create these Instagram accounts and they sound the Magus, the Merlin, the I Am Consciousness, Unlimited Potentials. It's like all this stuff. And then you see that they put like 2 posts. It's like, oh, that sounds like an amazing idea. Let me go check it out. And there's like 2 posts and then they're gone. Or then they're yelling at you about something. It's like, just create your art. Just create your art. Don't be throwing the tomatoes in the audience. The people who are creating art do not have time to throw tomatoes because they're too busy creating their art. But anyhow, I see this on there and I'm like, oh, it's another one of those Instagram accounts about new energy, this and that. No. She changed my mind. Because I just like, here we go. There's going to be 2, 3 posts and then they're going to disappear into the great beyond because, they realize it's work. To create art is work and they don't want to work because you're not supposed to work as a master. A bag of money going to fall out of the sky. Caveman Chambra. It's a character in my book, the Caveman Chambra. Anyhow, she created this thing and she starts telling her story about what she wants to do through her new school for inspired work. And I was just blown away. She's telling her story. She's doing her thing. She's not getting caught up in anything else. She's an artist. She knows what she's creating to a certain degree, and then you follow your intuition to where it takes you without having a firm outcome. So that was beautiful. Guillaume's like that too. There's a consistency. The people who are making the Culmination Genesis project, which is an audio, it's indescribable, inevitable, a new energy way of using media to convey infinitude, to tell story without the story arc, to get the voices of beautiful beings speaking the Christ consciousness into a really interactive, infinite format. I don't even know how to describe it. I'll put it in the links below. Yeah. So we created these characters, Sarah, Katumi, Lauren. I don't take myself that seriously. Right. So I started my telling the story, personifying Lauren and Sarah's relationship. You got to have a story to tell, right? That's like what myths are, right? They're untrue truths, myths, living, breathing stories. And not the stories that keep you in the closed loop system, but we call them storyless stories, a new energy story. So I wrote a modern self-realization story. Book 1, I wrote about awakening because that's all I had experienced. I didn't write about realization because I wasn't realized. I didn't make a movie about realization because I wasn't realized. So I wrote a book about awakening. So that's the first half of the book. And then the second half of the book is about realization. And I tell it through stories, right? Because it's not a how-to. It's not whatever. It's just a story, a beautiful one. When I look back in my memories in my life, they kind of look like they feel like a Netflix show. I can be deeply touched by a Netflix show, but I'm not being spun around by it. It's not true. The wave function does not collapse in my storylines anymore. So this is just one way it went. But there are many ways it could have gone. I made it into a hardback book, and then it's going to be an Audible. I'm going to be recording it in Audible soon, and Jen of NYC is helping me adapt it to audio, right? And then Katumi and I have these books. This one's an Audible and iTunes, The Magi's Definitive Guide to the New Human Species. I use my voice to act out Sarah and Katumi and Sovereign Collective conversations. The Sovereign Collective helped write this book. It's based on all of my like last week, I spent 14 hours on calls listening to people beyond realization and into this infinitude experience of the Christ consciousness. So those stories go into here. I'm an artist, not a channeler. I'm an artist, not a channeler. And this is also a Sovereign Collective book based on conversations, and it's Katumi and Sarah. And there's a Sarah chapter, a Katumi chapter, but every chapter contains the wisdom and the knowingness, more importantly, from those conversations. When I do channel Katumi, it's often very strange because we'll be having like a normal conversation, like on this couch, and he's like, "Can you record a video?" Well, okay, I'm going to tell you, I live in a very hot tropical climate. I don't wear a lot of clothes because it's hot. No one does around here, and it's normal. And I am a very active person. I surf, I dance, I walk every day. I've been doing the Tracy Anderson method. She's brilliant for almost 3 years. And so I'm in my workout clothes is my point. So he had me record the most strange thing. It's called 365 Days of Light. And it's how to make a tangible experience with your light body by tapping into the subtle bodies and the biological body every day. So but he didn't give me any warning. So, I mean, this is like a behind the scenes story. So he didn't give me any warning. And then he's like, show him something. And I had to stand up, and I'm like wearing my workout clothes. And I'm just thinking, wow, I'm glad I got to be your puppet today, Katumi, and said with love. So I just want to show you what it is back here. I started New Energy Creator in my living room in 2016. I had no idea what I was doing. I had like a little GoPro. I was trying to figure it out. This is before Zoom. I've tried every different thing. I try to do it without help, and it's still in my living room. And my big plans for New Energy Creator moving forward are for it to be in my living room. There's no part of me that desires to create a corporation, make a bunch of money. I do not need a diamond bracelet or to have my nails done. It's just not my thing. Yeah, there's no grand plan other than to keep sharing from my living room until the day I die. I don't have anything above that. And my other true goal, I don't know another word for it, aim, understanding, commitment, is that when it's time for my time to be over and everybody surpassed me in consciousness, that's always my wish. I don't have that like, oh, I want to help people get to a certain point, but not above that, because then they'll go beyond me. No, I mean, I already have people that I work with that have gone above and beyond anything I've experienced. And all I do is provide them a space for them to share that with other people who will benefit from their beautiful stories and shares and creative art through the spoken word. So it's always been my goal to back out of this gracefully when it's my time, and instead of clinging. If you don't create power, you don't have any power to cling to. But it's like when it's time to be over, I'm gonna head out gracefully, and hopefully everybody that I've ever worked with or supported goes way above and beyond anything I could do. I mean, that's my hope and my dream, and reality, the potential, the possibility for this work, this art, this joy work that is the art. I have a list of things that of shares that I wanted to get out, but I think I'll just stop here. I just welcome to the New Energy Creator YouTube page. Here's a little bit of our story. If you send me questions if you put questions in the comments, I will answer them. Welcome to New Energy Creator. If exploring the infinite mystery of the I am that I am is something that you're interested in, if getting to know how this beautiful hardware and software of this biological body works as a new energy being is something that's interesting to you, I mean, where I came from, you just ignored the body, whatever you allowed, but we go into the mechanics of how each and every system works in the new energy human. We're putting it into something called the new energy human database. And we're going to write a book called The Anatomy of Light. And it'll be an anatomy and physiology book for the new human species, carbon altered through consciousness. So if you're interested in the mechanics of the biological body and shining your light through the Pia Mature, for example, we put a little preview video on the YouTube page. And you're interested in exploring the infinite mystery of the I am that I am without all the positioning, but with joy, love, and no denial of your human attributes. We're not getting rid of our wounds here. The wounds are the moist black soil for which the mustard seeds of the Christ consciousness can grow. If you're trying to never have a problem again, right? They're not problems, they're possibilities. You got the wrong P. It's not a problem, it's a possibility, right? But if there's a denial of the humanness, right? And it's just like that cold, hard consciousness and blah, that meh, meh, meh. If it's a meh, this is not the space. This space is if you want to come here and play and explore the Christ consciousness embodied on earth, this is a great space. If you haven't cleared up your karma from the temples of Tian or Atlantis, please, this is not the space. If you have that and you're aware of it and you want help with it, I do not like doing it, but I will. I'm very good at it. I do one-on-one sessions. I'm not advertising to you, please. I only do that if there's something you just can't really figure out, because I can see, unfortunately or fortunately, I can see everyone's Atlantean stuff without them telling me. So if you truly want to be out of that karmic spin, temples of Tian, Atlantean, this and that, I will help you. But it's not something I want to like advertise and make money off of or whatever. There's a charge, because if I don't charge for it, I get very, very, very sick. I've done it for free for people who asked, because I don't say no to anything. It's really being in this open, vulnerable state. I can't say no. So don't ask me to do that, please, for free. If you provide an exchange, I'm happy to do it. I want to tell you a story about dying without death, but I think I've said too much today. And if you're wondering where Katumi is, Katumi, he's going to kill me. I'm going to make a joke. This is not real. They'll be mad. Don't be mad. He went on vacation. I'm kidding. Because he's not been here for a week. He told me he was going to be gone for a week and he'd come back in a week. And I said, Katumi, are you going on vacation? He was pissed. He's like, you think I have a vacation? I'm trying to get shit done. He had to go somewhere else in creation to get things aligned to help us with our art coming out. Yeah, to help us with our art coming out. We've got a lot of stuff coming your way. We have so many things that are going to be additional information from our this. So like if this book briefly mentions the Pia Mature, this book, briefly mentions the sovereign mind. It just kind of introduces you. It briefly mentions samadhi and the end of all suffering. It kind of just lays out the whole plan. And now Kachumi's going back in and helping me and the Sovereign Collective. They created the last video that we're working on. I didn't do it. Katumi didn't do it. We told them this is what our next chapter in the book is, and you guys are going to write it. Blown out of the water. Holy crap. Yeah. I mean, just imagine that. If you come from a place where people like to sit around and complain and throw tomatoes, complaining is not just gross. It actually breaks down your body. I've seen it happen. People who sit around and gossip and complain, and then they wonder why their body's not working. It literally will break down your body's ability to heal itself if you're complaining and attacking people online. The only one you hurt is you, right? So these people don't have time for that because they're too busy writing the next chapter in the Magi's Definitive Guide to the New Human Species. I have a lovely friend, Daniela, and she convinced me to go back on Patreon, and she convinced me to go back on Facebook, and Katumi had been nudging me, but then I think he found Daniela, and she was like, just lit the fire under my tushy. So Katumi and I pull the Sovereign Collective materials in. We've been sharing on our new Facebook page, put the link below, and our Patreon page has just exploded and expanded I shouldn't say exploded because it's just been a slow blooming flower. So if you're new here, I am Lauren. There is no wizard behind the curtain. We don't have a board of directors. We don't have investors. We're not set up as a nonprofit because it takes so much time and money to run that. And you have to have a board of directors. It's just as bad as being a corporation, So it's just me and a few contract employees and lots of volunteers. Thank you, volunteers who make this happen. We have no plans to leave the living room or my bedroom. In Mexico, I've had to record from my bedroom because it's the place with air conditioning. So we have no plans for that. But all of the donations that we get or from patrons on Patreon, or we have donors that, help pay for the audiobook and everything else. And we have a lot of expenses here to keep the integrity. We pay for every photo. We're not pulling things off of Google and then pasting it back up. I don't steal movies off the internet. I pay for them, so we have a lot of free materials, and they're free if you need them to be, or by no donation if you can. But if you do send a donation, what happens is it goes right back into the wheelhouse here, and a new movie comes out. We pay all our employees a fair wage. We don't work people to death for no money, right? So your donations help pay for that. Yeah, so we're lifting up the hood of the car. Come have a look inside, right? Look inside. Someone a while back sent me a devil emoji note, and their thing was spend a week with the people you're following online. If you want to come spend a week here, you're welcome to. You got to pay for your own flight and your own hotel room and anything, but I'll come hang out with you. Right, but that's not an invitation to come to my house. Nope. However, that is for me saying, like, what you see is what you get here. The no makeup's just not no makeup. It's a metaphor. There's nothing shiny on top. It is what it is. We have a saying in the Sovereign Collective: let the mess be a mess, and be honest about the mess, and then the mess will clean itself up. But we don't have rough dynamics on the back end here. Everyone we play with, we co-create with, there's not a hierarchy. I'm not the boss. Katumi's not the boss. We come together, sovereign beings, and we go, okay, we're going to create this. What should it look like? What's your input? Oh, okay, cool. And then we feed off each other, and then something beautiful comes out, like that Magi movie that Aaliyah made. There was like a compilation of all our work over the years. I'll put that as the video at the end of this. Anyhow, questions below in the comments, I'll answer them. Welcome to the New Energy Creator YouTube page, and or if you're a new person on our newsletter, sign up. Thank you. That's the best way to stay in touch with us. You know, I popped into Facebook for the first time in 4 years, and so far it's going well. But at the first sign that it's sucking energy out of me, it's back to the newsletter. My name is Lauren Hutton. I am the human behind New Energy Creator and all of our books and offerings, and the one running the calls and paying the bills for New Energy Creator. And I am love with you always. Creating this I don't even want to say safe space, because we don't need that. It's a beautiful space of love and creativity. It's for soft people, soft souls. Thank you for being here and adding your energy and consciousness to our materials. Your attention is your greatest resource. Your bank account is not your greatest resource. Where you place your conscious awareness is your greatest resource. And we thank you for putting it here. Wow.